everybody, I'm Kelly Mataure. Welcome back to my channel. Happy 2024. I'm here with Chongs. You all remember Chongs, my loving and long-suffering husband. Anyway, welcome to 2024, guys. It's been a while, but here we are. We're back. I hope you all had a fabulous Christmas break and you're feeling refreshed. You're feeling happy and ready to take on the new year. Today, we want to talk to you guys about a topic we are extremely passionate about, and that is marriage, everything marriage related. If you know us, if you've ever met us, you know how super passionate we are about marriage, godly marriage to be specific. We wanted to share with you guys a tool that we have used since the year we got married, like literally every year since we've gotten married, something that has been a game changer for us, and just it's a good thing to do in the beginning of the year or towards the end of the previous year, and that is a marriage AGM.
What is a marriage AGM? Actually, funny enough, a friend just asked me yesterday when I said to him, we're going to do our marriage AGM this morning and then see what the rest of the day has in store for us. But I actually thought it's something that a lot of couples do. You know, sometimes I think maybe people do it but don't really know that it constitutes an AGM, or they don't call it an AGM. But I think it's such an important process that you need to go through. So it's where we come together and plan for the upcoming year, but also having reviewed the previous year and everything that we set out to achieve, and kind of evaluating ourselves to see if we did well, or where we did well, where we didn't do so well, but doing it in a nice manner, in a constructive, civil manner, so that we know that we are, you know, working towards something for the forthcoming year. So that's basically what an AGM is, similar to what you'd have in an organization or association or whatever, but it's now something that you do as a couple that is about your marriage and everything to do with your marriage.
Your family. I mean, if you can plan for your company, why can't you plan for your family? It makes no sense. But anyway, so today we're going to talk about that. We're going to tell you the topics we discussed, you know, everything that we've gone through, and just tools and tricks that you can use to make your AGM successful this 2024. So I hope you guys enjoy. Now, before we get into the topics, let's establish some ground rules for an AGM, okay? Number one, don't do it at home. Do not do it at home. Do not do it at home. Don't do it around your children. Don't do it around your family. To the best of your ability, go away. Some people go on holiday, they go to a resort, they decide to do it. If you don't have the capacity to do that, it's fine. Go to a restaurant. Go somewhere where you know you've got a couple of hours where you're going to speak uninterrupted and you have time to be vulnerable. You've got your privacy and you can discuss. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be fancy. We did ours yesterday at Pariah, Avondale at like 11 in the morning. And we sat there for 4 hours and hammered it out until we were done. So that's tip number one. Don't do it at home. Make sure you allocate enough time for you to be able to do it thoroughly and properly. Okay. So it can take forever. As I mentioned, yesterday we took 4 hours. It can take 2, it can take 1, but do it at a time when you don't have time pressure, like where you know. That's why it's good to start in the morning, because in the morning you're fresh, you're ready. Don't do it at night. Don't do it before bed. You're tired, you're irritable. In the morning you're fresh, you've got your ideas going, and you've prepared for it. You have an idea of the things that you're going to talk about, the things that you want to address. So prepare for it and allow yourselves the room to be able to do it until you're done. So that's the thing. If you do it at home, sometimes you get interrupted, you leave things halfway. Know that you're sitting at that table, and by the time that you've stood up, you've resolved everything you want to do. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is have an agenda, okay? Don't just waffle. Don't just go there on vibes, okay? Have an agenda. Have particular categories of things that you want to discuss, so you know exactly what you're going into. Be as organized as possible. A lot of you out there are working professionals and you're highly organized in your workplaces. Let's bring that same energy into your AGM. And what I mean by that is we scheduled it in the calendar. There was a Google calendar at the time. Like, be that organized and intentional about your marriage. You can do it at your workplace. Why can't you do it at home? So those are ground rules for AGM. Let's get into the topics.
Topic number 1 is a review of the previous year. So in our case, we were reviewing 2022 and 2023. We've had an AGM every single year since we got married, except for last year. With all the moving around and relocation and all of that.
Didn't happen.
It was hectic. So we just combined the 2 years. At least we've tried our best to keep notes from each AGM that we've had, which helps a lot because, I mean, what will you be reviewing?
What's your reference point?
So we use those 2022 notes to kind of discuss that year plus 2023 as well. So in that review, we were kind of going over what we did over those 2 years, what worked, what didn't work, what we did well, what we didn't do so well, and kind of having an open and honest discussion. The good and the bad. It's sometimes good to start with maybe the areas that you maybe let yourselves down on, maybe things that you set out to achieve that you didn't manage to do, but at the end of it, maybe coming back to the things that you were happy about or things that actually did go well that you may have done and were able to execute according to the plan that you had set out. So we went through it openly and honestly, and it was
It's not easy. I think you just have to be
Yeah.
honest. Like, we actually had a section of like, okay, now let's sit and think of all the stupid decisions we made or tried to make in 2023, and what is the lesson behind them.
Yes,
So it's
actually.
really digging in deep to say, okay, when we're planning to do XYZ, and this isn't just like about marriage and relationship, this is about anything, even if it's finances, even if it's kids, whatever the case, even if it's a job. Like, what are the stupid decisions we made? Why did we make those decisions, and how can we learn from it? So you're like putting a fine comb through the whole of the previous year and the decisions that you made to just help you extract lessons from there that you want to then implement in 2024. Topic number 2: finances.
The big one. It's
big-
always a big one, and it's good we start with it.
Yeah,
Actually,
and
sometimes you need to start.
do
with
not
that
underestimate this topic, because there's a lot of stuff that tends to creep up in this particular section. Finances is so deep. Most years we actually separate it from the AGM because finances can take up 2 hours of you discussing things. So if you can separate and have a finances discussion before the actual AGM, and what this looks like, I'm sure by now everybody's budgeting. People budget in different ways. We have our Excel spreadsheet with everything. Okay, when I say we're budgeting everything, it is there. It's a shared document, so we both have access to it. But you're discussing your monthly budget, you're discussing your income sources, you're discussing your expenses, but you're also discussing your plans for 2024. So say, for example, you want to go to Barbados in August. Where is that money going to come from? How long do you need to save up? Maybe you don't need to save up. What are the things that you want to do that are going to have financial implications on your family that year? So you're putting in everything. When I say you're discussing everything, even family responsibilities, family functions that you know of that are coming up in that year. Because the key with this is anticipation. Anticipate as much as humanly possible. Stuff will always come up, but the more prepared you are, the better. We are not preaching from a point of perfection. We are also working on it. It is a work in progress. This is not because we've got it figured out.
The spreadsheet, I think we only started towards the end of last year.
It was like 4 months ago or something, but
we've always
it
just
really
had it
worked for us, like
pen and paper and that kind of thing. But I mean, you keep refining the process. Find what works for you.
Until it works.
Some people don't want to do spreadsheets. Maybe you have a way of doing it on in another format. Some people have that mobile apps and stuff like that where you track your monthly expenses or even daily expenses.
Do what works. Find what works and do that. Stick to it and be accountable. So so you're basically looking ahead into 2024. Like, there's certain things that maybe you don't plan for, but because you've been tracking your expenses, you see these things come up. It can be something like birthdays. You always have it in your head, like, okay, for so-and-so's birthday, we're going to budget $50, but you always end up spending $400, for example. Those are things to account for, and those are things to plan for. Either you're saying that, okay, we're going to try and stick within that $50, or is that $50 realistic? Should we maybe, that kind of thing. So that's what you're discussing in finances. So if you can, have it set on a whole other day, a whole separate day, if you can, maybe even a week before. And then, of course, you're still discussing your finances monthly, because that one is always kind of revolving, because things are always kind of coming up. So that one you're discussing monthly anyway. But if you can, the plan for the year, discuss it before. If you can't, it's also fine. Allocate the time that you need to go through it.
So it's good to start with finances, because that kind of sets the tone for the rest of the topics you're going to discuss, because everything that you want to plan or that you're planning to do involves money. So whether it's visiting family, whether it's traveling or whatever it is, it requires money. So at least if you have a rough idea of your budget and what or kind of what it looks like, how much money do you have, what do you have available, then all the other topics can kind of fall into place, because you have kind of managed the expectation of what you are actually capable or able to do in that particular year.
And you're realistic.
Yeah.
So we know this finances topic can be such a hectic one. If you want me to do a separate video on just
need to do that, actually.
Finances and things, we can do that. Yeah. But number 1, finances.
Number 2, relationship and marriage. So this particular topic just focuses on us and aspects to do with our marriage, intimacy, our dating, communication, anything to do with just the two of us. So we try and unpack as many things as possible that have to do with how we interact with each other, basically. And obviously, we would have reviewed the previous year and the earlier on, but this is specifically about how we want to relate to each other in the upcoming year.
Yeah, and this one you go into the nitty gritties. Hey, have to be open and honest, because because topics like sex and all those things come into this, like, be as detailed and as honest as possible. Talk about the fights that you had in the previous year. I'm not talking about the niggly, no, like the genuine issues that you had in the previous year, that maybe whether they were unresolved or whether you've actually resolved them, whatever the case. Talk about those big things, work through it, try to navigate not repeating those same mistakes in the following year, because sometimes I think with a couple of things they tend to just, it's the same arguments over and over again. Try and anticipate those, go into the nitty-gritties, be honest. And a tip that I heard, actually, I don't know if I shared this with you, it was in one of the couple things that I attended. Anyway, they were saying, learn not to be offended. Yes, it was the last couples camp that we went to. Learn not to be offended, because if you become that person who's easily offended when someone tells you something, your partner will simply stop telling you because they don't want the drama. Be someone who has the grace to accept difficult feedback or constructive feedback. It helps to keep the communication pathways open.
So it's good to do it in a restaurant so that
so nobody's screaming, nobody's crying.
Yeah,
it helps.
It does help.
Number 3, parenting. This is if you have kids, of course. What are your parenting goals? What was your 2023 like in terms of your children? Are you planning to have kids that year? Are you planning to not have kids that year? Are you planning to not have kids ever? Those kind of discussions, this is the time to have them. If you are already raising kids, what are you trying to implement in your kids' lives this year? Are they changing schools? Are they writing exams? What are particular things that are of interest that relate to your children that you need to discuss? I think for us it was mostly like, okay, our kids are still quite young. We have a 4-year-old and almost 2-year-old. We're still dealing with little people and all those things, but yeah, that's basically when you want to discuss it. I think one of our goals that we mentioned is we want to buy like a lot of children's Bibles and speak to our kids more about the word and all these things and systems that we're trying to implement, bedtimes, yada, that kind of stuff. This is the time to discuss it.
Number 4, health, fitness, and spirituality, or religion, whatever you want to call it. So this is a topic a few years ago that we had separated into 2 different, we had health and fitness on one end, and then, our prayer life and religion on the other. So we kind of just, combined the 2 so that we could just get through it. So this, and I think that it's kind of interlinked in some way, because we're kind of trying to set a routine for when we get up in the morning. Okay, are we exercising? Do we read the Bible? Do we go for a walk? Do we pray while we walk? Or what are we trying to do? So we kind of combine the 2. But again, for you, it can be however you want to do it. You might want to have it separately to discuss maybe involvement in the church or wherever you're serving, and discuss that separate to your health, wellness, exercise, nutrition, nutritional goals, or whatever it may be. So for us, that's kind of how we looked at it. We kind of said we want to go to church every Sunday. We want to commit to a healthier lifestyle. So not just diet, but also being able to get up at a certain time every day and exercise, and just kind of get into a routine when it comes to that, throughout the week and everything. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll add that with things like, your spiritual goals and all that, I think everyone should have individual goals as well. Like, we've got our collective goals as a couple. Then you should have your individual goals. So this is also a good time to do it. I know everyone's big on New Year's resolutions and things. I don't like to call them resolutions because I feel like people drop them. But your individual goals as well, that you'll then tell each other about to keep each other accountable. But then you've got your separate goals as a couple. So thought I'd add that.
And the New Year's resolutions. I've been seeing so many people jogging from this whole week.
Keep it up.
Yeah.
Y'all do you though. Yeah, it's not going to be me, but
shame. But yeah, so that's why resolutions is tough, because when you say that
goals, you
jog for the first week, second week you're like, nah, because work has started again anyway. But
Number 5, family and friends. So this family being outside of your core family, outside of your spouse and your children, your siblings, your parents, your extended family, your friends, and all that. What are your goals? Because that's something that it's easy to ignore. I mean, this is also when black tax comes into play. It's easy to ignore, but things like this come up. You're not, you're not an island. There's certain people that you have around you. What are your goals around that? If you want to celebrate someone in a certain way, or the particular people that you're taking care of and things like that, this is the time to discuss it. What are the goals? I think I know with things like black tax and helping his side and my side of the family, it can be a bit tricky. I know sometimes for couples, but you, to the best of your ability, try to make sure that you're paying attention to both sides of the family. It's not going to be equal all the time. $10 here, $10 here. We do it based on need. So if there's a $10 need there, it's $10 that month. Maybe this month there's zero. If there's a $40 need here, there's $40 here. Maybe that side is 10. That kind of thing. It's based on need, but plan for it. Plan for it, budget for it, be aware of what's happening so that nobody's blindsided. Again, things always come up, but to the best of your ability, you've got the plan.
Number 6, travel and adventure. So this is one that we added, I think, a year or two ago. We kind of said that we not only need to budget, but we also want to plan for the particular trips that we want to do over the year. So again, you might decide that you want to call this category calendar or whatever you want to do. But for us, it was about travel and adventure. And I think when we reviewed previous years, we saw that some of we had kind of penciled it in and said we want to travel. It wasn't really specific. But when we now reviewed it, we said, oh, well, we found we actually managed to travel somewhere. We managed to go a few places and visit friends and actually get out, So travel and adventure for us this coming year looks like, we've planned at least one trip every quarter, I think it is. So it's about 3 or 4 trips over the course of the year, including our anniversary in August. So again, because we've discussed finances prior to doing this, we kind of have a sense of or an idea of how much money we have combined and how much it'll cost to do these kind of trips. So we're realistic as well, so that you don't kind of say, okay, well, we want to go to 10 different places, but you just can't afford it. Because then if you're reviewing that, you kind of will beat yourself up about not having done it. But in actual fact, it wasn't possible to do it. You just didn't have the means. So for us, the trips this year will probably be more than previous years because there's a bit more financial capacity. But we're planning again within our means, knowing that some things we might not be able to achieve, but at least we will try to, work towards them. We're aspiring to get towards those travel and adventure goals. So this is mainly for our travel as a couple, but also as a family and that kind of thing. So some of these do overlap. So some of the travel and adventure could involve the kids. So we could discuss that here or in the previous section where we looked at parenting and maybe say we want to travel somewhere with the kids. But again, all of these things you then need to kind of knuckle down into specific monthly plans or weekly plans or whatever. So this is kind of like a plan for the whole of 2024 that we want to go to 3 or 4 different places. But at what time of the year and what resources are required is then what we are then putting into our spreadsheet.
Let me tell you a huge mistake that we made last year. Last year in this section, we had the vision. We had the vision, guys. When I tell you that vision was crystal clear, we did everything. I had the quotations of all the play. We had the vision. What we lacked was the plan. There's a difference between the vision and the plan. The vision is, I want to go to the Maldives in August. I want to stay at this resort. I want to do this. We're going to go snorkeling. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. What we liked is the plan. It costs 10,000 to go to the Maldives. Where is that money coming from? What is the plan? So like last year, what we ended up doing a lot was, we want to do XYZ in October. We're going to the Maldives. January, February, March, April were quiet about the Maldives. Then like July, we're like, guys,
Maldives.
We said Maldives in October. Yeah. We're gonna make a plan. August, September. Maldives is supposed to be next month. What's going on? No money because there was no plan. No plan for the money. So we learned a very, very hard lesson. Be realistic about the plan. Vision is excellent. You need it, but you have to have the plan. They work together. So what that plan looks like will be different for everyone and for every situation. It can be okay for us to go to the Maldives in October. We need to save $1,000 a month to make that happen. Cool. Or there's a windfall I'm expecting in August that'll cover our Maldives trip. Cool. But you've got the plan. So in all of this, yes, dreaming is nice, the vision is nice. You know, I always say, yeah, be realistic, but leave a little room for magic. Leave a little room for a miracle, but have the plan. Number 7, goals and homemaking. Your house, where you live, whether you're building, are you renting, are you buying a stand, are you, whatever it is you're doing, what is your homemaking strategy? Are you moving back home? Are you guys living with parents? What is your homemaking strategy and plan for that year? What needs to go into it? If you say you're going to move out of your parents' house, okay, cool. What is your budget? What is the plan? When do you want to do this? What is your furniture going to look like? All those things. Ours, it's like things like, oh, want to start decorating, want to do this, want to do that. Whatever it looks like for you, figure it out and plan for it. Like all things, but just be specific and make sure you're aligned on the same thing, because maybe I'm dreaming of buying a house this year, but realistically, all we can do is afford to rent. Or if we decide we're buying a stand, are we realistic about when we can actually start building? All those things, home related, homemaking, your routines as a family. What are the things? What is the culture of your family? When you guys get up in the morning, what kind of people are you? If I were to come and visit your house, what are people going to observe about the way that you live? Those kind of things. And if you don't like something, change it. If maybe after work you get home, you scroll on TikTok for 4 hours and then you go to sleep, but you want to change that and the way you do your routines, maybe you want to start reading before bed. Those kind of culture things and goals. Those are things that to work on and to determine what it is you actually want to do and how you're going to do it.
Number 8, AOB or any other business. So as I mentioned earlier, this kind of framework that we have presented, you know, you can chop and change it. We've got 8 topics here. You could have 10, you could have 12, you could have 4. It just depends. Maybe some of them you want to combine, but it just depends what works better for you. Sometimes you might want to have a calendar section where you sit and scribble on a whiteboard or whatever, but just do what works best for you. We spend more time on the finances part. I think in the 4 hours we were there, I think 2 hours of that was on finances alone, and then the other 7 topics kind of fit in the remaining time. But at least it's you know, we managed to get through it quite successfully. So in AOB we discussed other sources of income and tried to see how best we can look at how we can bring in more money to obviously add to
my Maldives holiday pot.
Yes, Maldives. How are we going to get there? How are we going to get there without any other money? So we looked at that, and we just generally also look at any other plans that are overarching, things that we may have not touched on in this.
Even long-term stuff. It doesn't have to be 2024. It could be 2028. But yeah, just even long-term stuff, just general.
So you leave room for that. Oh yeah, and another very important part of all of this is to make sure that throughout the course of the year, you have time to have reviews of everything that you've discussed. So I think one of the things that we were a bit slack on was, you know, we'd have such a great planning session with the AGM and then only look at those notes 12 months later when we're doing the next AGM. So, and then you realize, okay, yeah, some of these things we did, some of them we didn't. But if you're constantly reviewing, like in this case for 2024, we want to have a review at least once a month. It's a much shorter meeting, but at least you're reading through what you've agreed to at the beginning of the year and saying, okay, in month 1, where are we with each of these things? Are we making any good progress? Yes or no? I think it will serve us a lot better when we get to the next AGM, you know, because we would have been able to tick off a lot of the things because we would have been constantly reviewing all those topics and all those points throughout the year or throughout the course of the year. So yeah, that's kind of how we have it.
Then number 9, I don't know if this counts as a topic, but last but not least, what we do every single year is we pick a theme for the year. What is our theme? What are we looking at? So this theme can be, what are the key words? Is there a key phrase? Is there a key something? So this year, we have a key scripture, right, that we've based our 2024 theme on. Our key scripture for 2024 comes from Matthew 7.
Yeah.
Verse 24 to 27. So anyway, Chunks will read it for us.
So,
and then I'll tell you the theme at the end.
Quick story about this. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, this is a wedding Bible. So I'm going to read from this Bible. We've got lots of Bibles. It's good to have lots of Bibles. I think you've got 2. of your own Bibles. I've got my own 2 Bibles, and then we got this. This was a wedding present from one of my cousins, so we're really grateful for this. And yeah, so it comes in this like nice thingy, opens out. It's very nice.
Shout out Una and Des. Hey.
So yeah, as you can see, very nice. Very beautiful. So this sits in a very special place.
Shocks just had to brag about our Bible. Like you just had to show everybody.
Nah, Bible snob. Too many Bible. No, but it's good. Different translations and everything. So anyway, okay, Matthew 7 verse 24 to 27. The heading in this Bible reads, "The wise and foolish builders." Verse 24. "Therefore everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house. Yet it did not fall, because it had its foundations on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash."
So the particular scripture we derived our theme from is verse 25. So my version says, "And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, but it did not fall, because it had been founded on the rock." So that is our theme for 2024. Founded on the rock. So notice how the rains did fall. I mean, the floods came, the winds blew and everything. Like, things will come. Okay, we're not going into this year assuming everything is going to be rosy. There's going to be a lot of challenges, and those things are going to come. But because we are establishing our house, our year, our plans, our goals, our dreams on the rock, we believe we'll be fruitful in everything that we do. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please do give us a thumbs up. Subscribe down below. Did you do your AGM as a couple? Have you ever done one before? If you have, please tell us in the comment section how was yours. We tell you guys our business content. Please feel free to share yours in the comment section down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.